This is the Neuro Way to Practice podcast with Dr. Ted Arkfeld. In each episode, he shines the spotlight on patients who have achieved amazing results the Neuro way. Now, here's your host, Dr. Ted Arkfeld.
Hey, everybody. We got a wonderful show tonight, and it's been a little bit since we've been on with the Neuro Way to Practice podcast. But tonight, we've got Jake Kozens on from ARPneuro, and since we were last on, I actually have joined the ARPneuro family. I am now the Director of Clinical Education. So I'm really excited about that. And Jake and I are going to be doing these podcasts on a very frequent basis. So what we want to talk about tonight is recovery. Recovery has been a big buzzword over the last few years. And every time I listen to Jake on the YouTube channel, I always learn something new about the RX and the PRS. And it happened again last night. They had a Q&A, and I was listening to the blood flow description, and I learned something new. So, Jake, welcome. I want you to take it away. Talk about the blood flow, the anxiety protocol, and then I'll tell you what we're doing in our clinic that I think is pretty unique. So, take it away.
Absolutely. Love to. All right, so let me get this on here now. There we go. Now, can you be all right, Dr. Arkfeld? Can you see that?
I can.
All right, wonderful. So let's go right into this. Again, what Dr. Arkfeld has mentioned, we're going to go over blood flow here. One of the things, I do want to first touch on is our waveform. A lot of times people will think of this old-fashioned source of what direct current really is. And so if you look at the top, that's your traditional direct current waveform. That's what, most people will think of, and they'll also kind of attribute this to a Russian stim, something in the beginning where it was just hard for patients to tolerate. That is not the wave that we're working with here at ARPneuro. It's actually that bottom wave where we always talk about kind of stretching that wave, so to speak. This is what we're doing to that. And it's, as you can see here, high frequency, double exponential, biphasic, direct current, but it's that last portion, that RC circuit, that really makes the difference. And it makes it very unique to, what it is that we do. So in this case, as you can see that waveform on the very top, that diagram, it's very similar to that bottom diagram. And the interesting thing about that portion is on that bottom, that's the same wave that your brain uses to contract a muscle. So when we talk about this wave being harmonious with the body, this is the reason why it's a very similar wave, not just on a direct current, but just this style of what it goes through in that contraction mode is essentially the same in this case. So why is that important for something like blood flow and recovery? We're able to, with this biphasic current, we're able to actually take those contractions and shut them off. Now, this is our smaller unit, as you can see here. And traditionally, this is on a 245 contractions per second. So still on direct current wave, but we do have that ability to shut that off. And as you can see here, it's that main pulse suspend. You turn that off, and now you're able to just get this electrical magnetic current that's flowing through your body based on where you place those pads. So if you have any injuries, if you're looking to recover, we are going to talk about that. You can actually generate more blood flow into that area, more so than what your body can do. But the beauty of this is you're not generating those muscle contractions. So there's no fear of any delayed onset muscle soreness. And all you have to worry about here is just generating and lubricating the joints with blood flow. The second portion, this is our clinical unit where Dr. Arkfeld has used both of these. And I can't wait to kind of get into a little bit deeper of how he's implemented the PRS. He's actually one of the reasons why we got so much on board with the PRS and the movement and bringing it into the practices. And now it's part of my training. But this is our traditional Class 2 medical device that we treat the patients with. It also has that blood flow feature. But as you can see here, this is contracting at 500 times per second. And what we're able to do is on that bottom left portion, you can see where it says duty cycle. Now, most of anybody who's using this technology will know normally in a treatment setting, this will read CONT, which essentially just means you're getting a continuous wave of contractions. In this case, we are shutting off that main current And now we're just running this background current. So, with the power of the way this wave goes, it goes from 0 to 100. So to give you an idea of how strong it is, I would guess 1% of the 1% can actually get to an output power of 100. Is that pretty accurate, Dr. Arkfeld, in your office?
We only have one. We've only had one patient that did it 3 years ago, and he's back, and he's done it numerous times since then.
So that makes sense. Usually,
Yeah,
especially, so Dr. Arkfeld has had this in his office for quite some time. So at some point, there's always that one patient who can max it out. There are some offices that might have a few others, but it is rare. So that's the actual power that it has. Now you keep that very same power, but now you remove the contractions, and then you're just running blood flow. Imagine the benefits that you can have with this, and we certainly do. So blood flow is great, as everybody knows, for muscle recovery, but also for healing. So we use this a lot when it comes to post-op patients. Right after operation, we'll go above and below the incision and just run blood flow and get that healing process started long before they can even get on their feet. So we're able to expedite that process as a result of this. Now, along with blood flow, we also have a recovery setting. Now, with this recovery setting, you can run blood flow or you can run light contractions. Very simple setting on the beginning, and there's a few others, but I'm going to show you, one I use often, and then probably one on the sidebar. So this one, it starts off where the black pads will essentially just go on the bottom of your feet. And the idea behind that is, with the technology being on direct current, the black runs to the red. So what we're doing here in this case for the recovery, we're actually taking that blood flow and we're bringing it up to the heart. Now, with that, we're crossing these pads. So essentially, you're giving this a longer pathway. Again, to kind of give you an idea of the medical device, this larger unit, it has the potential of 2 separate channels. And with these 2 channels, you can actually cross that, which gives it a longer pathway for it to travel. So now you're getting more blood flow generated, and that's exactly what we do. And I'm going to hop over quickly to this model here. If you look I got ahead of myself here. I want to go back really quick. So if you look at this model here, and again, keep in mind the black pad is on the bottom of the feet. The 2 red pads would actually be crossed over to the back in infraspinatus area like this. So if you can see that model quickly, it would just go here. So both red pads are up here, crossed over down to the bottom of the feet. And then as you can see in this model, we're laying here. It's I'm actually using the PRS in this particular picture, but whether it's the PRS or the RX, both have that potential to do that, and just drawing that blood flow upward. This is what we call a recovery protocol. You can use it for, and we have used it for, anti-anxiety, and even a case where patients struggle with sleeping. Now, I don't have a model for this other one, but this second one is great for anxiety as well. Also, sleeping protocol, and of course, muscle recovery. So I'm gonna take these pads off, and I'm gonna flip our model around one last time. And in this case, let's assume this is the black lead, and we're just going above and below the sternum on a vertical placement with that pad. And so now you're running that black pad down to the red pad, essentially on that vagus nerve. And with this one, light blood flow as well. You can also just go background. When I say light blood flow, I mean light contractions. And that means we're talking like a 1% of the 1% of where this output power can go. So you don't want to be very high. You just want just enough to generate more blood flow. Or you can just run the background wave. And when you're running background, it's essentially just a light hum, if anything else. Again, those 2 pad placements are my 2 favorite when it comes to either muscle recovery anxiety, and certainly one of those cases where if you're having a hard time sleeping, this is also a great sleep protocol. And of course, if we want to throw this on a sidebar, we have used this one along with the other one that I just showed you as kind of if you had a fun weekend and perhaps it was a little too much fun, this is one of those protocols that we would use for that as well. So
okay, so the sternum, so you got the pads right on the sternum, right?
Correct.
Okay, and black is up top and red is below, or is it vice versa?
Don't you had that right the first time. Black is here, red would be down here.
Okay, all right. Now that is something I did not know, and vagus nerve is really hitting a lot of attention nowadays too, so that if we can stimulate that parasympathetic response from the vagus nerve, that balances people out, that gets them out of sympathetic survival. Nice tip.
Yeah.
All right, Jake.
100%.
I know there's going to be some people that ask this question,
Sure.
and they're going to say, okay, they're going to get thinking about blood flow and swelling in an area. And they're going to go, well, we always have been taught to put ice on to constrict the blood vessels so there isn't blood flow in there to help minimize swelling. What does the RX and the PRS do differently? What than if you were to put ice on? How does the blood flow mechanism work so we're not causing increased swelling in an area?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question because we do hear that a lot, and it's hard to get some doctors out of that mindset of that RICE method. So they're rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And I'm not against that method. I just we have discovered that there have been better methods, and a lot of it in our case is it's a way we're able to use and take advantage of the direct current wave. So with that waveform being on direct current, we can control the direction of where it goes. So
Okay.
I'll give you a case in point. One of our protocols is a foot bath. And with the foot bath, ironically, your feet go into water, but it being on direct current, it actually is perfectly safe. But we run that current upward. So we have a lot of patients, they have plantar fasciitis, diabetic neuropathy. That's a big one. And if there's inflammation that's kind of collecting in that area, and with neuropathy there certainly was, this current has the power to kind of draw a lot of that inflammation out, but you're still getting muscle contractions, you're still waking dormant muscles, and you're still getting blood flow into that area. So unlike just kind of icing that and, your that elevation is good, but that's certainly not going to draw the blood flow there that you need to for the healing process. It might get some of the inflammation out, but the healing is not going to be as quick as what our machine can do based on that direct current wave.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. Very nice. So in a way, this could really be used similar to contrast therapy, heat and ice contrast therapy, right? Because the whole goal is to pump the swelling out, bring new blood flow in for the healing.
100%. Yep.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, so let me go back in history a little bit regarding recovery. And everybody's talking, like I said, about recovery. And back in 2010, I started bringing in foam rollers and resistance bands on Saturdays for our football players. And that was the very primitive, but that was actually at the time, that was like the state of the art for pro teams and college teams. They had their guys foam roll.
Yeah.
And then they would do some stretching. Then they'd go out and do some light jogging. So that went on for a number of years until 2016. And I came across Normatec compression therapy, the boots. And so we brought those in. Well, Normatec has just exploded. Hyperice products, Normatec, you would be hard pressed to find any pro team, Major League Baseball, hockey, basketball, football that doesn't have a Hyperice product on it. So Normatec and recovery rooms and all that, that's become the norm. And we got on board with that too and just absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. And then massage guns came out. And so everybody's doing massage guns. And you do the massage guns and then you get into the Normatec. Well, we took it one step further because I realized that there was the mental recovery that was missing. And that's where we come up with our brain tap. Our brain tap is brain entrainment, about 400 or 500 different recordings. People are stressed. right now, and we have a way to test to see like what's dominant. The sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. Nobody's parasympathetic is dominant. I can tell you that. They're also tired. I can tell from the results of the tests that I run that they're tired.
Yeah.
And so we started incorporating Normatec and BrainTap together and saw phenomenal results. So at the beginning of this year, and after watching some of the YouTube videos and everything regarding anxiety and the recovery, we took this to the next step. And so we started having some of the kids that came in on Saturdays that were playing both ways and just had lactic acid buildup all over. We started taking and doing the RX recovery protocol. And we put them into Normatec and BrainTap at the same time.
Nice.
So we did all three, and I had to go in and wake them up. They'd fall asleep, which is great. And they came out and they felt refreshed, absolutely refreshed. So, I think that the RX and the PRS, that is one of those hidden little gems that a lot of people don't know that it can do. And we've definitely started recommending that to our patients when they can't turn their brain off at night and get to sleep. Hey, get the PRS unit on. And now I'm going to start asking them to put it on the sternum. That sounds like a great one to do.
Yeah, 100%. And I do have a question because you have kind of set the standard when it comes to the Normatec and using Normatec with this technology. So, I've actually been telling doctors about that. How are you working that? Are you placing the pads with Normatec and just running it on background while Normatec is going, or is it just you want it in combination of the two?
We do both.
Nice.
One of the things, and again, I saw it somewhere where you just put on like a level 3 for the RX, just a light little stimulation, because you said that really will push things in there. So we put the pads on the patient's foot, we cross them over, and then we put the Normatec on over the cords for the RX unit. Nice. And then we put the BrainTap on. So they got all three going. And sometimes we'll just do blood flow. And sometimes we will take and do just a little small setting so they get a little stim. I think what we found is that when they're really like banged up, tired, sore, I think we put it on a small setting with 3 to give a little bit more oomph, and that was working the best for us.
I absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of Normatec. I have been since, essentially you introduced it to me years ago, the first time I got into your office, and same with BrainTap. I'm also a fan of that. So to kind of merge the two is wonderful.
So
three, actually.
I don't think anybody's doing that. I mean,
I don't think
this is
they are.
something that our kids are stressed, people are stressed, everybody talks about stress, but nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, you get some products that are out there here and there and some nutritional things that somebody's doing, but I think you just hit them. And it's also a neurological therapy form as well. And
Sure.
if we get somebody just to take a little nap and get that lactic acid out there and get that circulation pumping, it's been a win-win situation for us.
It's that coupled with your ability to use the smaller unit. And I would almost even say breaking the rules or bending the ARPneuro rules in the beginning, but you knew how well it worked. And now, luckily we're seeing that, and we're starting to kind of push that process of this smaller unit taking a, sort of a second stage to what this, with the take home unit or with the class 2 unit does. Can you talk to that a little bit? Because, that's still kind of a game changer for us. It's new, and we're starting to use it within other clinics now. And it's basically your process.
Yeah. So what happened, we were at a larger clinic where we had like a 3,800 square foot basement that we turned into a complete workout area, rehab area. And we would have, from our local high school, we'd have the soccer team come over and do off-season workouts. And we would have the football team in on Saturday mornings. And so we first brought in the RX unit in February of 2020. And I think 20 days later, we were in a full-blown lockdown. So, but I saw the value of the RX right away. I mean, that was a game changer, and we saw a lot of dramatic results. We helped a lot of people. And then, but when I got the RX, they sent the PRS unit, and it was in a box, and nobody really said anything about it. And it stayed in the box for a long time. And it was like, I don't know how to run this thing. I don't know anything about it. It's the simplest unit to run, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
what had happened is that I started playing around. I finally opened it up and started playing around with it with patients, and I saw that it was very easy to use. And at the time, I was using it just like a muscle stim unit, and so that I would do the adjustment, then I would put it on the patient, and then I found out I could actually do Cox flexion distraction technique with the unit on, and then we could have that as a warm up. Then we get them up, and we could just move them right into doing the exercises. So at the time, I had a physical training exercise science major that was working for me, and Elise, you remember Elise?
I sure do.
And she said, you know what? I think this is the new way to train people. I think this is going to take, and it's going to take any fear of the weight room out for female athletes. It's going to help those kids that maybe are a little overweight and they don't want to start working out because it hurts and they can't do that. It's hard on their joints. I said, I wholeheartedly agree. And so I actually bought 5 units, and we were going to do a whole new downstairs program where we were implementing the PRS unit. And we were on track to do that. And then Lise got a job offer at a hospital chain that I just couldn't match the salary and the benefits and everything. So she ended up leaving. So I'm stuck with 5 units, and I'm not really sure what to do with them. Then I'm over at a spring convention in Wisconsin. I was speaking, and Sam was over there. Dr. Battaglia was over, and we went out to dinner that night, and he started telling us about how he uses the PRS at home. He told the story about one of his friends, his son's friends, broken arm, got the PRS on him doing blood flow, how the arm healed really quick. And I was going, oh my gracious, I had no idea. So we came home and figured out that $50 a week was a good fee for our area and something we could live with. And that's exactly what we do. As soon as somebody says, hey, is there any exercises I can do, or what can I do at home? I said, well, we can do the PRS as long as you're in active care. You'll be getting the therapy at home every night, and you're coming in here, and it'll just double up. And again, patients loved it. Clinical outcomes went through the roof. Really, really just pleased with everything. And then we actually had some patients start buying the units, and, plopping down 3,000, 3,500, whatever the case is. And I had a patient in today that did buy a unit, and she was talking, and it was a post-surgical case, by the way, one where she was told, well, after 8 weeks of PT following her surgery, they just didn't know what to do. She was in pain. She wasn't going to be able to golf. This lady was a wreck when she came to see me. And she lives about 50 miles away. So I said, listen, we're going to get you on the PRS unit. Here's some exercises. So we went over everything with her. And then we told her, put it on main pulse suspend at night when you're sleeping. You will wake up and you'll have greater movement. Sure. And she has just been amazed. She just absolutely loves the PRS. And that's just one story after many and many and many that I could tell about that. But doctors, if you are on the fence about I'd load up on as many as you can get. You can use them in the office, and then you can take and rent them and have a little passive income. And I guarantee you patients will buy them.
Yeah. And that the rental unit was actually a brilliant idea. Originally, I think you were the first to actually implement that. And I used to think that no other doctor embraced that mindset until recently. We had somebody on our Q&A, and she talked about it. And I just remember her kind of listening to some of the things we were telling her. And I always used it as an example that we have a doctor in Michigan that he leases them out when they can't, they can't get into the office or they need some
Mhm.
more at home care. And she just ran with it. So it's kind of taking off. And you were sort
Good.
of you were sort of the front runner and all of that. I just thought it was brilliant, and to this day, I still think it's a great way to introduce the PRS to patients. But at the same time, you're still, as a doctor, you still have that touch without them having to actually be in your clinic.
And it's a really good way to send the homework with them, and then you're not losing the patient.
Mhm.
They're still coming in. Depends on where they're at. It may be 2 times a week, but I'm checking them to see if they've actually done their homework by doing movement analysis
Yeah.
and asking obviously what their pain levels and everything are. Um, we do every once in a while, we will rescan them. So if I'm seeing them like every 2 weeks or something, I'll rescan them just to say, okay, we got some different hot spots now. And you need to, this is where you put the pads. See ya. And we'll get you back in a couple of weeks. And then the foot bath with plantar fasciitis and neuropathy has been lights out, absolutely
Yeah.
lights out. And that's something they do every single day. I mean, who wouldn't want to get therapy every single day in the comfort of their home? And that's
Yeah.
what you can offer them with the PRS.
And I love that too. That was another one. It's funny because we handed these things out like candy, but then we didn't show anybody how to use them. For whatever reason, we wanted everyone to use the RX in the office, without actually realizing that together they work that much better. The
Hmm.
therapy is that much more effective. And I just love how you went on a limb on your own and just did it anyway, and saw those results. And now
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
implementing the same things.
yeah. No, it's been great. It's been a major game changer for us. So
And kudos to our new leaders here at ARPneuro that are willing to listen to doctors nowadays, because they are doctors, and I think that makes a difference too. So
absolutely. The support from the new leadership has been wonderful. Just the fact that they will listen about the PRS, because that is a powerful little unit right there. And quite, we got a lot of Barbs. Barb is the patient I was just talking about that when she came in the office, broke down crying because she didn't think she was ever going to be able to do anything, in chronic pain. And we got her back. She actually golfed this summer, and she's getting ready to go back to Florida. She's a snowbird, so she's getting ready to go back to Florida, and she is so happy. There are Barbs in every single city,
yeah.
and chiropractors have got to get on board with this. They've got to get this new technology. I just did a conference. It was an online conference for the Florida Chiropractic Conferences this past weekend, and I stressed to the doctors, there is new therapy out there. It's time to abandon massage therapy, spinal decompression, and laser. I mean, if you want to do those, that's fine. But start looking at these other therapies that actually are better, that will get you better clinical outcomes. And if you want to grow your practice, you just get people better and the word will start spreading.
Yeah, and every doctor, and you've mentioned this as well during COVID. Any doctor who's had this for a while will tell you that you don't even need marketing. I know our doctor in the Chicago area, he doesn't market at all. You cannot find him on Google, but he treats between 170 and 200 patients a week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 95% with the ARP neuro technology. Now, it doesn't mean you can't use other modalities, and he does, but it's just the fact of what you said. He's making them better. They're talking to all their friends, and their
Yep,
friends are talking to the teams and the coaches, and that filter comes in very quickly.
exactly. So like with I'm fired up about this anxiety protocol
Yeah.
because into what we're trying to achieve at the clinic. We're really trying to help the autonomic nervous system, and that is a nervous system that's been widely ignored in chiropractic. We've been very focused on peripheral, and now with the ARP neural products, we can get into the central nervous system, and now we can start reaching autonomic nervous system. So we truly are now neurologically based, and it's just so much fun.
And again, this is selfishly, and this is where we learn the most, is when doctors like yourself are willing to go outside the box, so to speak, because they don't stick to the scripture of what it is and find new protocols and are able to develop something even a better way. And we're really big about that these days, are trying to, make this better than what it was, because we know it can be, and we've seen you do it with the concussion protocols. So I'm excited that you're going to work with this as well.
Exactly. All right, Jake, I think we're just about out of time. Listen, if you're somebody that is looking, if you have anxiety, if you want recovery, if you're that athlete, if you're that weekend warrior, you find an ARPneuro practice. I think there's 3 here in Michigan, and they're on the website. They're all listed on the website, right?
They are on the website. Find a clinic on ARPneuro.com.
Yeah, find a clinic, get to those providers, or give us a call at our clinic, 989-448-8065. I'd like to say that operators are standing by, but the operator is my wife, Diane.
I love it.
So, all right, Jake, we're doing this again next week. We'll be on, and everybody have a great week, and find an ARPneuro clinic right now.
Always a pleasure, Dr. Arkfeld. Thank you.
See ya.